So now it's official, or as official as an Adam Schefter leak can get. According to multiple inside sources, Shedeur Sanders isn't just climbing the Cleveland Browns depth chart. He's conquering it. And if the reports hold true, come week 1, he'll be suiting up as the starting quarterback against the Cincinnati Bengals. Cue the chaos. Think about that for a second. A 5th-round rookie, not a first overall savior, not a hype combine freak, a 5th-rounder. Starting week 1 in the NFL for a team with the most quarterback turnover in modern history. If you don't feel the historical weight of that, you might want to check your pulse. If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed. Adam Schefter doesn't play around with quarterback news. And when he drops a leak like this, it isn't speculation, it's a warning shot. This isn't just a young QB getting a few extra reps. This is Cleveland quietly signaling to the world, the future is now, and it's got Shedeur Sanders written all over it. And here's the kicker, he earned it. None of this was handed to him. Not when he showed up as QB4. Not when he got buried on the depth chart. Not when the media clowned him for speeding tickets. And his last name. Every step of the way, Shedeur responded not with excuses, but with precision throws, perfect timing, and the kind of leadership this team hasn't seen since, well, have they ever seen it? People in the building are talking about how he sees the field like a vet, how he commands a huddle like a general. And let's not ignore the Browns' offensive coordinator, Kevin Stefanski, who now finds himself in a perfect storm. Because Shedeur doesn't just fit the system, he amplifies it. Quick reads, sharp timing, sideline-to-sideline accuracy. This isn't a square peg in a round hole situation. It's more like Stefanski secretly had a Shedeur-shaped opening in his scheme all along. But the Bengals in week 1? That's not exactly a soft launch. That's fire. That's prime time. That's AFC North football. The kind of game where legends are either made or broken. And guess what? If the Browns actually run him out there as a starter, it means one thing. They're betting on the legend. Joe Flacco has seen a lot in his career. Super Bowl rings, quarterback controversies, and more locker room reshuffles than he can probably count. But nothing quite like this. One day, he's being praised as a veteran insurance policy for Cleveland, a calming presence. The next, he's quietly taking more clipboard reps while Shedeur is getting peppered with first-team drills and interviews. Let's be real. Flacco didn't come back for this. He didn't lace up his cleats at 39 just to hold a headset. But the energy in the room, it's shifting. Veterans who were once looking to Flacco for direction are now peeking at Shedeur in practice and going, wait, that kid made that throw? It's not a betrayal. It's a baton pass. And that's the part no one expected to come so soon. Meanwhile, Dillon Gabriel is somewhere in quarterback purgatory. The 3rd-round pick who was supposed to be Stefanski's project now looks like a guy losing ground by the day. His camp hasn't been disastrous, but in comparison, Shedeur is making Gabriel look like a game manager stuck in neutral. And it's not just the fans and media who notice. The locker room knows. Players talk. They feel momentum shifts in real time. And from everything leaking out of Berea, this team is buying in. From wide receivers to O-linemen, you're hearing the same thing. This dude's different. Even off the field, Shedeur is building bonds. Hanging with David Njoku, working timing routes with Jerry Jeudy until the sun sets. He's not playing the rookie role anymore. He's acting like the franchise guy. And when your future QB1 is outlasting everyone in practice, staying late in the film room, and winning over veterans with humility and edge, that's not rookie behavior. That's alpha energy. But don't think for a second the Bengals are going to roll over for a Cinderella story. Week 1 is a statement game for them. 2. A division rival with playoff dreams isn't going to take kindly to a rookie debut making headlines at their expense. Expect them to bring pressure, disguise looks, and force Shedeur to beat them the hard way. And if he does, if Shedeur Sanders walks into that stadium, stands in the pocket under a Bengals blitz, and delivers a 25-yard strike on 3rd and 12, that's not just a debut. That's an arrival. The moment Adam Schefter's report dropped, Shedeur Sanders to start week 1 versus the Bengals, It felt like someone dropped a firework in a hard Browns fandom. X exploded. Reddit melted. Browns Twitter was already halfway through organizing parade, while sports talk radio lit up like it was draft night all over again. It's not just excitement. It's vindication. For the fans who watched 20-plus years of quarterback chaos. For the ones who bought into Baker Mayfield too soon, gave Deshaun Watson the benefit of the doubt, and pretended not to see the Pickett experiment sputter before it even started. Now they've got Shedeur. And this time it's different, because this isn't some gimmick. This isn't hype for hype's sake. What you're seeing, and more importantly, what the players are seeing, is substance, poise, pocket presence. A guy who can command the huddle, go through progressions, and hit a back shoulder fade like he's been in the league 5 years. And ownership? They couldn't be happier. Let's not pretend Jimmy Haslam didn't see the dollar signs on this one. A prime-time Prince under center, jersey sales through the roof. National attention on a team that's usually a punchline by October. Shedeur's rise isn't just a football story, it's a brand. He's got that rare magnetism that can sell hope, sell tickets, and maybe, just maybe, sell a playoff berth in January. But here's where it gets messy. Kevin Stefanski now has zero room for error. The second Sanders was named the starter, the spotlight turned searing. Every offensive misstep is now on Stefanski's shoulders. Every conservative play call, every mistimed read. If Sanders struggles at all, the media wolves won't be circling Shedeur. They'll be coming for Coach, because the narrative's been reset. If this kid really is the future, then the system better match the talent. And don't think the front office is off the hook either. Andrew Berry just hit the lottery with a 5th-round pick. But that win will be buried if the rest of the roster can't keep up. Protection, play calling, receiver chemistry. It all matters now. This isn't a see what we have year. This is go time. Even Shedeur's haters are doing double takes. Some of the same analysts who once mocked his combine skip question his maturity after a speeding ticket, or implied he was just riding his father's legacy. They're backpedaling harder than a corner in cover 0. You can practically hear the tone shift. Well, maybe he was underrated. Yeah, no kidding. The crazy part? We're still in the preseason. And that might be the most terrifying thing for the rest of the league. If this is Shedeur Sanders just starting to cook, imagine what he looks like in Week 8 with real rhythm, chemistry, and confidence. So, buckle up, Cleveland. You've seen heartbreak, rebuilding years, and quarterback drama like no other fan base in the NFL. But for once, you got a kid under center who looks like he belongs, who might finally turn this cursed QB carousel into a throne. And when Week 1 rolls around and Shedeur Sanders takes that first snap, you better believe history's watching. September, Week 1. The Cleveland Browns walk onto the field at home against the Cincinnati Bengals, and the stadium erupts. Not because they think they're going to win, but because, for the first time in forever, actually feels like they might. And under center, Shedeur Sanders. Not Flacco, not Watson, not some preseason flash in the pan. A 5th-round rookie with a chip on his shoulder the size of Ohio, and a city on his back that hasn't believed in a quarterback since Bernie Kosar was taking snaps. This isn't just his first game. It's his audition for NFL legitimacy. And on the other side, Joe Burrow, former number 1 pick, national champion, franchise icon, the Bengals' golden child and the living, breathing measuring stick for young quarterbacks trying to prove they belong. It's not just a game. It's a collision of legacies in motion. The stakes? Astronomical. For the Browns, this isn't just about getting off to a hot start. This is about momentum, culture, optics. If Sanders comes out and even competes with Burrow, if he holds his own against a top-tier defense, then the noise becomes inescapable. Because everyone, from sports radio to front office execs, is watching to see if this kid can translate camp magic into real-time results. And if he wins, oh, my God. If Shedeur Sanders walks off that field with a W over Cincinnati, then buckle up, because Cleveland won't just crown him. They'll anoint him. National media will pivot so hard, whiplash lawsuits will fly. The Shedeur is a system QB people vanished. The doubters who said he couldn't adjust to NFL speed, muted. the ghost of every failed Browns quarterback in the past decade, finally exorcised, at least for a week. But let's talk about pressure. Because if Sanders throws a pick early, or the offense stalls, or he gets sacked 3 times in the first half, the Wolves circle, not just Stefanski, not just the offensive line, him. Because with great hype comes even greater scrutiny. And Sanders isn't just fighting for a win. He's fighting to keep the dream alive. Every snap will be dissected, every throw charted, every glance toward the sideline turned into a meme or a headline. This is the crucible. But let's say he shines. Let's say he throws 2 touchdowns. Let's say he leads a game-winning drive in the fourth quarter and stares down Burrow across the field like, "You're next." Then you're no longer talking about a rookie breakout. You're talking about a movement. Because Shedeur Sanders wasn't just drafted by the Browns. He inherited them. And if he wins week 1, he doesn't just earn a starting job. He becomes the face of a franchise that has spent 30 years looking for someone worth believing in. And that's the terrifying part. For other teams, that is, because if Cleveland finds its guy, its real guy, then everything changes. Because if Shedeur Sanders wins in week 1, let's be real, it's not just the Browns who get flipped upside down. The entire NFL machine grinds to a halt for a moment to say, wait him. Let's start with the headlines. Monday morning. Every talk show opens with the same cold open. Is Shedeur Sanders the real deal? Undisputed. First take, Pat McAfee. Everybody's tripping over each other to claim they believed in him all along. Colin Cowherd suddenly wants to talk about his natural arm talent. Skip Bayless is tweeting in all caps. Stephen A. Smith, he's half apologizing while screaming about how he always knew Cleveland had something cooking. The media hype train goes from 0 to, this kid is the second coming in a single drive. Now zoom out. Other NFL GMs start sweating. Because suddenly, they look foolish for passing on Sanders 4, 5, even 6 times during the draft. Fans of QB-needy teams, cough, Raiders cough, start asking, why didn't we take him? The memes start flying. You passed on Shedeur for a punter? It's relentless. And don't forget the ripple inside the Browns' own locker room. Veterans who were quietly skeptical, now they're believers. They're fist bumping him in the huddle. The energy changes. It's not just some rookie we're giving a shot. It's, yo, we might have actually got one. The receiver room? Electrified. You think Amari Cooper isn't going to be thrilled to catch darts from a young, confident QB with vision? You think David Njoku won't fight for extra yards when his quarterback is putting respect back on Cleveland's name? Meanwhile, the front office? Vindicated. Andrew Berry suddenly looks like a genius. Kevin Stefanski? Maybe not so crazy after all for letting the kid leapfrog over Flacco and Gabriel. And Jimmy Haslam? Oh, he's loving every minute of it. This is exactly the type of headline heat he lives for. Finally, a quarterback that makes the Browns not just relevant, but box office. But it also gets messy. Because what happens to the others? Dylan Gabriel? He's no longer the project. He's the afterthought. Flacco? Just an insurance policy. And Deshaun Watson, sitting on that gargantuan $230 million fully guaranteed contract, that becomes a ticking time bomb. Suddenly, all of Cleveland is asking, if this fifth-rounder is lighting it up, what do we need Deshaun for? You can bet that if Sanders continues to perform, those Watson whispers become roars. Trade rumors. Post-game passive-aggressive quotes. Analysts debating cap hits and buyouts. It becomes unavoidable. And then there's the Sanders brand itself. Coach Prime is on every podcast. Deion's old quotes resurface about belief and resilience. Shedeur's social media following explodes. Brand come calling. Commercials. Features. The rise of Prime Jr. is now a segment on ESPN every Sunday. You got kids in Cleveland wearing his jersey now. Not just because he's a quarterback, but because he's changing the tone of the franchise. And for once, Browns fans aren't just cautiously hopeful. They're deliriously hopeful. They've seen the jersey of heartbreak, the list of 30-plus quarterbacks. But now, that list ends. Because at the bottom of it, a new name gets added in bold. Sanders. And if he wins again in week 2, If he beats Pittsburgh on the road in prime time, then we're not just talking about the next act. We're talking about the first Shedeur. Because by the time week 3 rolls around, it's no longer just a feel-good story. It's a movement. The NFL doesn't know what to do with itself. Rookie quarterbacks aren't supposed to do this. Fifth-round picks aren't supposed to do this. And yet, Shedeur Sanders is sitting undefeated, lighting up defenses, and mic'd up on the sideline saying things like, "They still don't believe me." Cue the montage. Cue the gritty slow-mo b-roll of him walking into the stadium in custom cleats and a cold stare. Now the Browns, yes, the Cleveland Browns, are the league's most must-watch team. The Sunday Night Football crew is requesting them. ESPN wants to flex them into prime time. The league itself is throwing marketing weight behind a kid who's playing like a 10-year veteran, but talking like he's been counted out since birth. Because, in a way, he has. He wasn't supposed to go this far. Not with all the talk, the headlines, the draft day slide. Not with critics calling him entitled. Not with execs whispering about too much flash, not enough fundamentals. And definitely not with a franchise that's been buried under decades of quarterbacking misery. But here we are, and now the questions are shifting. Not is he good, but how far can this go? Is Shedeur Sanders really the guy to break Cleveland's playoff curse? Could he take them to the Super Bowl? Can you imagine the headlines if he leads them to a division title in his rookie year? Something no Browns QB has done since Bernie Kosar? And don't think for a second the Sanders family wouldn't seize a moment. Dion would be front row at every game. NFL Films would have a camera team exclusively dedicated to Coach Prime reactions. And then the MVP buzz starts. It sounds crazy at first. He's a rookie. He's a fifth rounder. But it gains steam. Week after week, highlight after highlight. The footwork, the poise, the 300-yard games, the fourth quarter comebacks. Suddenly, every time he throws a touchdown, people start pulling up his college tape and saying, "Oh yeah, we should have seen this coming." The sports media goes full obsessive. They're comparing him to Mahomes. They're comparing him to Russell Wilson's early years. They're saying things like revolutionizing the Browns' offense with a straight face. And behind the scenes, front office executives around the league are scrambling because now everyone wants their own Shedeur. Teams that pass him up are launching full-on investigations into their scouting departments. Other young quarterbacks start catching heat from their fan bases. Why can't you be like Shedeur? But let's bring it back to Cleveland. The locker room, it's electric. Sanders has that rare ability to galvanize guys, not with speeches, but just by being that guy. He knows the plays. He owns the moment. And most importantly, he's winning. You don't get that kind of chemistry off a whiteboard. You get when a team feels like they're finally turning a corner. And if this continues, Shedeur Sanders doesn't just change the Browns. He redefines what a rookie quarterback can be. Because as we roll into December, the playoff race is on fire. The AFC North is a bloodbath. Baltimore is scrapping to stay on top. Cincinnati is clawing back with a resurgent offense. But the Browns, they're there. And Shedeur Sanders, he's not just surviving, he's thriving. The Rookie of the Year chatter? At this point, it's a formality. C.J. Stroud who? Caleb Williams where? Sanders is not only outplaying his rookie class, he's outclassing half the league's vets. He's got more touchdowns than Deshaun Watson ever had in a Browns jersey. His interception count? Barely pushing single digits. His poise in 2-minute drills? Chef's kiss. And the fans? They've gone from cautiously optimistic to fully unhinged. You can't buy a Sanders jersey in Ohio anymore. They're sold out in every size. The Browns' social media account is popping off. National broadcasts are opening with America's team, the Cleveland Browns. But then, just when everything's clicking, the NFL gods throw a wrench. Week 14. Cold, rainy afternoon. Divisional game. Sanders takes a late hit on a scramble. It's not season-ending, but it's a scare. The trainers swarm. Stefanski looks like he's seen a ghost. The crowd goes silent. But what does Sanders do? He waves them off, comes back in, throws a dart for a touchdown on the very next play. That's the moment. The legend goes from rising star to something else entirely. Grit, guts, grandeur. Think Brady against the Rams. Think Mahomes on one ankle. That's what Shedeur does right there. And now, the league is watching with reverence. The Browns clinch a playoff spot for only the third time since 1999. They're headed to the postseason. And somehow, someway, it's Shedeur Sanders leading the charge.